Hello, my name's Parte. I write futuristic romance under the name of Virginia de Parte, and I write young adult and poetry under my legal name. Today I'd like to talk to you about getting an idea for a story, and sometimes this happens and you think, it's too crazy, I can't use it. But my advice to you is never discard a crazy idea, just write a story to fit it. And this happened to me in a recent futuristic romance I wrote called A Stellar Affair. I had Stella with her grandfather arriving at the airport in a cleaner's passage on a quiet corner because they just jumped there. Don't ask me how they do it because they don't know either, but they arrive. And they come out of the cleaner's passage into the main concourse, and there's people everywhere and suitcases. And her grandfather says to her, now be careful of these suitcases, they're absolutely treacherous. People treat them as pets, they're quite insane. And there are these suitcases that are trundling along behind their owners at great speed, and they're following an electronic signal that is either attached to the owner's wrist or waistband or somewhere on their body. And when these suitcases get their wheels caught and fall over, or somebody knocks them over, then they cry like a baby, and everybody rushes to stand them up because nobody likes the sound of a baby crying. So that's what I put into this story. And I've had several readers say to me since, where can I get one of those suitcases? Everybody wants one. And why haven't I got hold of a suitcase manufacturer and told them about it? But I'm sure someday somebody will come up with how to do it, because I hadn't worked out how to put a motor on the bottom and move the wheels. But somebody in the future will come up with that. Now, that idea in that story, I had to write a whole chapter to fit it in because I just thought it was so delightful. And it came to me in the Auckland airport. I was sitting there and I watched these new suitcases and the owners of them pulling them along, tucking them under their arm, holding them firmly. And I thought it was almost like they were pulling children along or had their children tucked in tight. And I thought, well, why not? We could have upright suitcases that do that, and they could follow an electronic signal. And, you know, within half an hour, I had it all plotted out. I even have it so that if you try and open the suitcase, it cries as well and tells the owner that you're trying to steal something out of it. And, you know, to the average person, you'd think, what a ridiculous idea. However, I managed to fit it into a story. When this happens, it's absolutely great to be a writer, because as a writer, you're a deliverer of secrets and ideas. And this sort of idea and putting it down on paper is so satisfying as a writer. The other day I thought of a fabulous title and I wrote it down very quickly, and I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to have to write a whole story just to use the title. I recently wrote a young adult set in New Zealand in the Bay of Plenty in Katikat, Tauranga and Te Puke. I managed to fit in gold mines and a bit of history, and suddenly into the story came a Taniwha. Oh, he was absolutely gorgeous. He was black and shiny coat, and he had emerald scales, but he was terribly brave, very, very loyal, and he had another Taniwha in Katikat. And both of them came into the story, and I really loved them. And I went down to the library to look up the history of Taniwhas and if anyone could tell me about them, knowing full well that they're part of Maori mythology. But there's very little recorded about Taniwhas, probably because Maori history is more oral than written. But it's given me the license to write some more stories about Taniwha. And I think I might take these two young adults in the story down the South Island, and I could have them chasing Pounamu and Greenstone and meeting some more Taniwhas down there. So when you're writing, or even when you're just living and a crazy idea comes to you, don't discard it. Keep it. Write it down. Crazy ideas are real gems. They are the things that make your story just a bit different from the other writer.